Okay, hi everyone. Hi Dan. I'm so excited to record this episode with you today. We specifically we will talk about account mapping because you launch some enterprises, some companies, but we'll talk about OrgChartHub today. And we are here because we help companies grow better by highlighting native integrations of the HubSpot application marketplace. Please, Dan, you're so famous in the HubSpot ecosystem, but for people that do not know you or your company, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Samir. Good to be joining you. So I don't know whether we're that famous, but maybe in the HubSpot world. So the way OrgChartHub got started is we had this challenge of mapping out large businesses, and so we were HubSpot customers first. Back in 2016 we started to use the HubSpot CRM, and we had the marketing side of HubSpot as well. In my role, I was head of account management for the last software company I worked for, and we were having challenges in terms of just understanding the structure of these businesses we were working with, because they were large enterprises, and understanding who were the key decision makers. So we were in a position where we're using spreadsheets, we're using PowerPoint, and me and my co-founder, who also worked at the company at the time, said enough is enough. This needs to be inside a HubSpot. Yeah. And so we built OrgChartHub as an internal solution. So to go back to who we are, HubSpot customers first, and then OrgChartHub was a natural build, which took us full time, and that's where we're at today.
Okay, that's great. In my agency, we use your solutions to do account mapping. Sorry. Today we will focus on this specific topic because I know that this is a big challenge. Sorry, for sales manager when we talk about the HubSpot CRM. Then can you help us maybe define what is account mapping, when and how is it relevant to do it, account mapping as a sales?
Yeah, I'll go to the relevant piece first. It is really only relevant if you're working with very large companies. And you're working with large deals. With large deals, there's always more than one or two people that are going to make a decision during the purchase process. And so if you work with 5 to 10 to 20 to 30 or more individuals to get one deal through, then this is going to be relevant for you, account mapping, because it's so important to understand first the structure of the business that you're working with, and then who are the key decision makers within that business to make sure everybody's aligned in order to give yourself the best chance of winning that first deal, but then also the many deals that hopefully will follow within that large business.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes sales manager hesitates to put effort in enrich a strategy, achieve a specific strategy for one account. Maybe do you have do's and don'ts as a sales to do account mapping and best practices?
Yeah, I'll use like an example of a company we sold into when this was at my last company, when we started to use OrgChartHub as an internal tool. So I suppose the point at which we realized that we needed to map the accounts was we won a couple of big deals, and one of which was with a company called Danaher, which is a life sciences and medical devices company. And really, it took me by surprise. So I won their first part of their business, which was a company called Leica Microsystems. Little did I know at that point that actually there were 26 businesses connected to Leica Microsystems, and the parent company was called Danaher. So it's kind of like I stumbled into it in a way, but then quickly realized actually like this one account could be very significant for us as a business. And so I guess the way we then thought about that particular account and some of our other larger accounts was first, what's that structure? So if I use the Danaher one as an example, we were trying to figure out where do the budgets sit? How is this business and how are the subsidiaries all connected to the parent company? So if I use Danaher again as the example, Danaher has a parent company, which is called Danaher Corporation. Below it, there are 26 operating companies. Each have their own budgets. And so for us, and then below that, the regions all have their own budgets because they're very big businesses within a very big business.
Yeah.
So the way we structured it was, okay, we need to see the parent, we need to see the child subsidiaries underneath it, and we actually then need to see the regions below that and see who holds the budget in each region. What we ended up doing was selling a master service agreement at the very top, but we did that by going in at one of the subsidiaries, selling to one region, which was EMEA, so the European Middle Eastern region.
Okay.
We got recommended to a few other subsidiaries. By the point at which we got 3, we then went to the top and said, actually, we probably should be working with the other 22, 23 other companies. And they were happy to then recommend us. So we made a service level agreement and came back down. So it's a real land and expand operation. I hope that I might have gone off the question there, but hopefully that gives you some detail on like how we thought about managing that size account.
It's okay. Today you've built an application with HubSpot, okay, to do it, the account mapping. But I think for your example, a few years ago, you didn't have this solution. So how did you do it?
How did we do it? Yeah, so we used combination of like digital whiteboards that were disconnected from HubSpot. So we used that to map out the structure. And then for the org chart, we were using PowerPoint. So yeah, the two were just separated, which is what was part of the challenge for us and disconnected from the HubSpot account.
Okay. And if I understand well, you did it with other salespeople from your team. Do you have do's and don'ts, best practices, specifically for businesses with complex solutions? And also do's and don'ts when we work as a team in the same account?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the first one is making sure you know who looks after each subsidiary or each region so that there's not accidental crossover. So making that as clear as possible if you can inside your HubSpot account or your CRM that you're using. That's kind of the key part so that the customer doesn't get confused. And then the second part is, again, which we focused on very heavily and we see a lot of our customers focus on, is when you map out the key decision makers on like in an org chart structure and show the relationships. A lot of our customers, and we did this ourselves, is you can put yourself and your team onto that org chart and start to map the relationships between the customer's key decision makers and how you and your team are kind of working on this. Because in many situations, it might be you, a solutions engineer, a senior manager that might help you on a particular account, maybe the co-founder or CEO on really big businesses. So understanding who's focusing on which individuals and how is that alignment coming together is important to see, because if you're not seeing it, it's hard to know what's going on within that account. Okay.
And what is the interest between do it from nothing with PowerPoints or Google Sheets or some other tools to map an account, and maybe to use an application directly connected with the CRM, because I think today some companies do it, but there is no process, there is no connection, and what is the results that we can expect to have a solution sync with the CRM to do the account mapping?
Yeah, so on the, again, like to go to the two parts of it, I'll start with the contact side of it. So when you're mapping out the contacts, the thing that we're trying to do for all of our customers is show insight. So if you put together the basis of a key decision-making group, the buying group, what we're trying to do is show you, okay, who are you communicating with and who you're not communicating with. And so we do that via a bit of functionality we call heat maps, which we show like sales activity, and we show marketing activity as well. So the insights that our customers tend to get is on the sales activity side what they're ideally looking for is an even spread of communication across, say, if they've got 10 people that are making a decision, across all 10 people. If they don't see that, then in deal reviews, when they're going through this with the manager and the rest of the team, then they're trying to pick out who they're not communicating with to make sure those people are engaged and in line and aren't blocking the deal. That's kind of the key part, really, that nobody's getting in the way, or there's something, that's really the key part. On the marketing activity side, it's helping the ABM, or account-based marketing. That word is used a lot.
Yeah,
we kind of feel like it's only really relevant if sales and marketing are working on the account together. And this is kind of an unusual image in that you can see how sales are working an account and then immediately flick to marketing activity and see how marketing might be helping you on that account. And again, it's that insight where occasionally you might see a contact that isn't engaged on the sales side, but they are consuming marketing content. So it gives the salesperson an opportunity to reach out to that person with meaningful, like a meaningful discussion on what they might have consumed. So that's on the contact side. And then a layer up, so like the 30,000 foot view back down onto the structure of the account. What we're again trying to help with there is the insight, because it's tied to your CRM. We can show you deals that you've got live on that really big business and help you spot where the white space and opportunities are where you haven't yet got any deals going with any of the rest of the business, and help you expand across those accounts.
Okay, I totally agree with you about the fact that marketing and sales should work together, elaborating a strategy for a specific account or for multiple accounts. What's the difference between a company, because you have few customers right now, you have a lot, of customers right now, because OrgChartHub is well known on the HubSpot ecosystem. What difference? What's the difference? What are the differences you see between companies that are not aligned between sales and the marketing team, and teams that work together to reach and to achieve their business goals, to create opportunities with specific accounts? Because when we do the account mapping, the account-based marketing strategy, we have to bring content, to bring values to the prospect or the customer. What are the differences that you make between those two cases?
Yeah, I think a really telling. So we do have a lot of HubSpot customers that use the product. So we do see like a wide variety of different usage in terms of levels of usage. The very best customers that we speak to and then become customers, if you ask them the question, how many target accounts do you have? They know like that. They know, okay, yeah, we've got 50 that we're focusing on now, or we have 100 that we focus on now, or we've got a team of 10 or 20 people that are focused on 500, and it's all broken up. That's the key part, really, is if you know the target accounts you're going after, it's quite easy then to align with the marketing team, because you can speak to the marketing team and say, here's the 50 we're going after. Here's the type of content we can work on together to engage these businesses and what's going to be important to them. So that's the best customers we see, because they know exactly who they're going after and which accounts they're trying to expand. If you've got that, they tend to be using HubSpot target accounts functionality, and then because they're then using that, they're also using the buying role functionality inside of HubSpot. So they're tagging up who are the budget holders, who are the champions, who are the blockers. What that then does is it helps marketing again, because they can create content specifically for those roles. Like a budget holder is going to have content that is probably going to be focused on return on investment, so you can send specific content. So the two power each other, but it starts with who are the target accounts we're going after. And if you've got that nailed, then you're on to a winner.
Yeah. And also a big challenge for companies, they're asking themselves, which content can I bring or can I do to bring a lot of value to my account, to my customer, or to my prospects? Do you have maybe some example of great ABM campaigns?
Yeah, I'll maybe like refer again back to like when we were doing this for ourselves. The very best kind of like method to expand an account or go into a business that is very closely linked to maybe the one you're already working with is kind of the referrals and referencing. So we would sort of ask the question a lot as like of our customers, how do you share best practices with your peers, either within the business, like in that Danaher example, there's 26 different businesses with regions, with different heads of regions. So there's a lot of people that are like sharing best practices together. And what we actually found with that particular account is they were meeting every quarter, and we were able to get involved in their quarterly meetings and kind of show how other businesses were working. I think those at enterprise level, those references are super important. Like ideally, you're able to get to a relationship stage where you can get a customer to jump on a call with a prospect and share best practices. And I think if you can get to that point, you're doing incredibly well, because the customer will often do most of the sales for you. I know that's a high bar, but like that's a good place to try and get to, is that level of referral and reference.
Okay. And I think about another questions, because I had the case recently with a prospect that shared to me that this is a sales manager. He really wishes to launch ABM campaigns and create really a sales campaign, but just for one account. For a big company, and then he has some difficulties to have the sponsorship of his boss to do it. He's quite alone. What can we tell him to convince a board of directors to go with their strategy or to launch an ABM campaigns? Because obviously they would like to see the return on investment. How can we track it directly in the CRM, and what are the expected goals directly from an account-based marketing strategy?
Yeah, I think I don't really hear people talk about this very much, but I know, again, from our experience and from our customers' experience, is probably one of the important things to think about is if it's for one account, is figuring out how much is that account going to be worth. Maybe not in like the next 3 months or 6 months, because enterprise sales cycles take a little while to get going, but like how much is it going to be worth to us as a business in 2-3 years? And you have to do a bit of maths behind that in terms of, and often it can be there is a bit of like finger in the air and have a guess, yeah, but like an educated guess. And I think if you can get to that number and it's significant enough, and you can paint the picture back to your team and your management that, look, this account could be worth this amount of money to us if we get this right, hopefully then that should make it easier for you. So I think you have to put together a business case, and starting with how much could that account be worth to us in 2-3 years time, and then work back from that. And hopefully you're a salesperson. Hopefully you can get the buy-in, the internal buy-in.
Okay, I understand very well your point. Because it's a really big subject today, because we talk a lot about ABM. We've talked a lot about working together with the marketing team and the sales team. and just few companies active to do that. Are really trying, are really really launching campaigns together. Maybe with your solutions right now, OrgChartHub, it helps companies to track an account, the activities on the account. Can you tell us more about that, and how does it help salespeople as me to launch and to bring the subject on the table?
Yeah. So that's first and foremost, like OrgChartHub is a sales enablement tool. It's not it's been designed from a salesperson's perspective. It's not been thought about from like necessarily a marketing perspective. It's designed for the sales user. Actually, that comes with quite a lot of benefits in terms of when you work with it, you're by nature making something visual that before wasn't really apparent. So it's actually like showing your work, which is quite hard to do in a business. Is like, okay, explaining an account to someone is a lot easier when you can say, these are the 20 people that I'm working with, and this is the business that I'm working with. This is how it's structured. If you imagine trying to do that without any visual at all, it goes straight over people's heads in the business who don't work in sales. So that's kind of like the key part. And then as soon as you can start to like turn on things like marketing activity, the marketing person will suddenly go, okay, I can see how I can help. So it very much is a sales enablement tool, but it does trigger like other engagement in the rest of the business, because it then becomes possible for the marketing team to understand what's going on in accounts and be able to contribute in a meaningful way.
Okay. And maybe a last question, Dan, how do you work with your clients? Do you help them on board on the solutions? And can you tell us more about maybe some clients that use weekly your solutions to do the account mapping, how they use it, what are the benefits before and after using your solution, and bring account-based marketing and account mapping into their sales process?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we've designed the product is very much in line with how people use HubSpot. We deliberately did that. So it only works with HubSpot. It opens up from inside HubSpot. That's the only place you can get to it. So you don't need any extra login. Because we've designed it that way, it very much is self-serve. So we have over 4,500 HubSpot customers using the product, and we have a free plan to help people get going. Now, it's designed so that it's as simple as possible for you to work with it. That said, we have live chat inside the product, open to everybody, including free accounts. So we respond there. Also happy to jump on Zoom calls, and we do calls with teams to like get them going and do some onboarding with them. It's not actually that common because people do get to grips with it very quickly. We try to make it very, very simple. And some of our best customers have been with us for quite a while now. So OrgChartHub became an external app in 2018. That's when we went onto the HubSpot marketplace. One of the very early customers is a company called Ceros, CEROS, and it was their CEO. At the time, I think they were a 50-person company. I think they raised 200 million, I think it was, like a couple of years ago. So they're a much bigger business now, but they still use OrgChartHub today. And where we have helped them is with their biggest accounts. But what they've done, which is very smart from a sales perspective, is they've made it part of their best practices, and they've on each deal, you can't get to a certain deal stage without creating an org chart, because they know how important the 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9 people that they need to engage are engaged with, and so it's part of their deal process. They realized that very early, like the CEO realized that very early, and it's helped them grow as a business. I can't say we're responsible for like 100% of their growth, but we have been part of their growth as one of the solutions that they use. in the sales process.
Okay, so that's perfect. To my opinion, I love using your solutions as a sales. That's why we're talking today.
Thank you. Oh,
Yeah, we
kind of you.
implement it with our HubSpot account. It's quite magic. It helps me map, create a strategy that brings value to my customers. I'm trying to improve myself, but I think it will be relevant for some salespeople and sales manager who I hope they are watching this episode. Maybe Dan, what do we have to keep in mind after watching this episode? Do you have a last advice for salespeople or sales manager that do want to bring account-based marketing on the table, or that is asking questions themselves about account mapping?
Yeah, if you're having difficulties getting internal buy-in for more of an account-based focus, to my kind of like to the point I made a couple of minutes ago, I would say treat it like a sales process. Like, map out who the key decision makers in your business that you need to convince that this is worth doing, and figure out what those target accounts could be worth to you. Treat that like a sales process. And then, start to put it into practice and do some of the work yourself early, maybe. Like some of the things that I did personally on that account that I was referencing is proactively go after case studies. But you can do that as a salesperson and pull in the marketing team to help you polish it up. But like, that's a good place to start from a sales perspective, because you can do that work. You can get the customer to commit to doing a case study and go from there.
Yeah, it's the perfect first step, because every company has current customers. They could put a use case with this customer because they know their challenges, the answer that they gave to these customers, and if these customers was in this specific problematic, these specific challenges, there are chances that other companies are facing the same challenges. Okay, Dan, thanks for your time, for your availability.